Hello and welcome back to some more Genshin Impact. So I'm going to be continuing the Archon quest here. It wants us to talk to Ame Togo because the Balladeer has caused a series of unexpected consequences within Irminsul, and you're the only one aware of that. In order to ascertain the situation, you head off to Inazuma. So let's go over there, and I just want to say that I am currently sick. This video may be a little bit shorter because of that. I don't know for sure yet. Hopefully there isn't a lot of reading.
Ah, it's been a while.
Pardon me, I'd like to ask a question if I may.
Of course. Go ahead.
About the Raiden Gokuden. Could you tell me that story one more time?
Oh. Now there's a question I wasn't expecting. Very well. I'll tell you what I know once more. The once renowned Raiden Gokuden, comprised of 5 branches. Amenoma, Futsu, Ishin, Hyakume, and Senju. The art of forging practiced by these 5 clans was first taught to them personally by the almighty Shogun. Over time, the 5 branches diverged from one another as generations of bladesmiths honed and perfected their craft until they became 5 distinct traditions. Most of the great swordsmith clans of old have since fallen into decline, and for a long time, only the Amenoma branch kept its art alive. But fortunately, Kaedehara Kazuha recently returned to Inazuma and took up the mantle of the Ishin art. Now, 2 clans remain of the original Gokuden 5.
So, it's cool that Kazuha is still around?
If my memory serves me right, you yourself were present when he forged the Ishin blade.
I mean, I didn't think that they would actually get rid of him, but maybe temporarily for this quest, I was thinking.
Oh, yeah, we were! Paimon remembers that now. They learned a bit about the decline of the Raiden Gokuden then, too. It seems like such a shame.
What was the reason behind their decline?
That, my friends, is a tragic tale indeed. In fact, this was not made known to me for most of my life. All these years, I knew of those great clans' demise, but never the cause. Only recently, when the question was on my mind, did I ask Kaedehara Kazuha about this. He told me that, as we are both heirs to a branch of the Raiden Gokuden, it was right that I should know the truth. There is no harm in telling you, but I must warn you. It is a dark and sorrowful tale.
Okay.
The Raiden Gokuden were the targets of a murderous rampage by a vengeful bladesmith.
Vengeful? Why?
400 years ago, so I'm told, there was a catastrophic malfunction in Tatarasuna's furnace. One brave swordsmith heard the commotion and chose not to flee, but he rushed to the scene, hoping to prevent a disaster. Tatarasuna was home to a state-of-the-art forging and smelting operation in that day, and overseeing it was the armory officer. His surname was Niwa, though he had family ties to the Kaedehara clan. Knowing that they had just one chance to save countless lives, Mr. Niwa and the swordsmith leaped together into the furnace. The furnace quickly stabilized, but neither of them made it out. The smith's death, though heroic, dealt a devastating blow to his family's fortunes. His orphaned son was left to fend for himself, and grew up deeply resentful at the world. In his heart, the whole of Inazuma was culpable in his tragedy. He hated the almighty Shogun for her apparent indifference towards his father's death, and he hated everyone who had done nothing to try and save him. Powerless and destitute, the only legacy he had to pass on to his children was his hatred. Generation after generation bore this grudge, living in utter misery. Alas, if only the story could have ended there. But 100 years ago, the then head of this family reached the end of his wits He could bear their fate no longer, and yet he could do nothing to change it. Finally, he made a drastic decision to take revenge on the Raiden Gokuden. In doing so, he sought to vent his pent anger and shake the very foundations of Inazuma's forging industry. In his fury, he murdered indiscriminately, killing even bladesmiths from the Hyakume clan which he belonged to. His goal was absolute, the devastation of all of the Raiden Gokuden. But when he came to the Kaedehara and Kamisato clans, his killing spree came to an abrupt end. He failed to catch them unawares. They fought back fiercely, and they did not spare his life. That is why the Kaedehara clan and their Ishin art survived that day. I suppose they were the lucky ones, under the dire circumstances.
The legend of the Raiden Gokuden has changed. Someone else attacked the swordsmiths. It looks like the balladeer did something in Irminsul, but it seems Niwa still died.
Was there anything else you wanted to ask?
Have you seen Kazuha recently?
Kazuha? Why, yes. Just yesterday, in fact. We spoke for a while over some tea. He seemed well.
So he still exists, and he's the same Kazuha I know. Things don't seem as bad as I feared last night. That's all, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Don't tell Paimon. There are other places you want to visit too, right? Your expression says it all. You can't hide anything from Paimon. On to the next stop. Lead the way, traveler. Paimon will be right behind you.
Okay then. I'm assuming we're going over to where, yeah, we're going to the Yashiro Commission, which is where, Ayaka lives, I believe.
We're here! This is the Yashiro Commission's headquarters, so...
Traveler, it's been a while.
Hello.
If you're looking for the Commissioner and Miss Kamisato, I'm afraid your timing is unfortunate. They're not here right now.
Are they out on business?
The Commissioner is out on business, and Miss Kamisato is standing in for some meetings in the Commissioner's place. If it's urgent, you're welcome to wait inside until they get back.
What do you think? Shall we go in?
Thank you. We'll take you up on that offer. Can we take a walk in the courtyard?
If it were anyone else, I couldn't allow it. But seeing as you're so close with the Commissioner and Miss Kamisato, I think it should be okay.
We'll be heading in then. Thanks!
I've never had to ask for permission before.
Hello, dears. Is there something you want to say?
Ma'am, can I ask you a couple of questions?
Of course, traveler. Yes, I know who you are. Miss Kamisato has told me about you. What would you like to know?
How are the Commissioner and Miss Kamisato these days?
Oh, they're both very well indeed. Lately, Miss Kamisato has been rather busy attending all kinds of meetings and occasionally paying visits to some local organizations on the Commissioner's behalf. As for the Commissioner himself, well, you know, busy as ever. That much hasn't changed. Although, he does seem to be in a rather good mood these days.
So pretty much business as usual in the Yashiro Commission, huh?
Very much so.
Ayato is still the Yashiro Commissioner. Ayaka is still the lady of the house. No changes there. As far as I can see, nothing's changed in the Yashiro Commission either. I was expecting as much, but it's still a big relief to know that the Kamisato siblings are both safe and well. I mean, they haven't given us their names, but...
Well, got any more questions?
That's all for now. Many thanks.
You're very welcome. In fact, I would love nothing more than for you to come and visit more often. But I'm sure you must be far too busy to have time for that. Miss Kamisato talks about you all the time. She seems so thrilled to have you as a friend, and she's always saying how talented you are and how much she admires you. I must say, many things in Inazuma seem to have taken a turn for the better since you arrived here. So you're not just Miss Kamisato's knight in shining armor, you know. You're a hero to us all.
I'm flattered.
I mean it. Whenever the commissioner dines at home, Toma always joins him. I always find myself at my most relaxed when I'm serving the two of them and listening to them chat away. The commissioner has such a busy schedule that he doesn't always have the chance to take his meals at home. But given the opportunity, he always prefers to dine here. They say it's because Toma is a much better chef than most. Oh, the commissioner is so fond of home comforts. They get to talking about you sometimes too, you know. Always with a very fond tone. The way one would talk about dear old friends around whom one can truly be themselves. Miss Kamisato occasionally joins them as well. Whenever the whole family gets together and they start talking about people they've met and experiences they've had, you always get a mention. It's been many years now since the late Mr. and Mrs. Kamisato passed away. Much has happened in the Kamisato clan in that time. As someone who is old and gray enough to have watched their son and daughter grow up, it makes me so happy to see them meet a dependable friend whose company they enjoy so much. So, in the future, if you ever do have the time, please know you are always very welcome at the Yashiro Commission headquarters. There will always be at least one old lady who would be delighted to have the pleasure of your company.
Thank you. The people of the Kamisato clan are very dear friends to me.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Paimon likes it here too. Also, you were saying something about the food here being really great.
Some things never change, do they?
Paimon's itching to try it. We may just have to invite ourselves around for dinner sometime. Paimon meant we should come pay a visit again real soon. Ideally around dinner time.
Of course. You're always welcome.
Alright, goodbye for now. Where are we going next?
To Tarasuna.
Great! Goodbye, ma'am. Don't worry, we'll see ourselves out.
All right, then. Take care now. Hope to see you soon.
Okay, then.
Oh,
Oh.
Are you two leaving already?
I thought the cutscene was done.
Yep, everything's taken care of now. Don't worry.
Very well. Safe travels. Goodbye.
See you, dude. So, off to Tatarasuna.
Well, here we are. But what are we looking for? Something or someone?
Do my eyes deceive me, or is that the Traveler and Paimon?
I remember you.
Xavier? What are you doing here?
Xavier. Really?
I was in the general area, and now I'm in this specific area. There, that's me. So what about you two?
We have some questions and thought you might be able to help.
Do you know much about Tatarasuna?
Certainly do. I've researched the furnace here in some depth. If there's anything you want to know, just ask away.
How well do you understand the history of this area?
Like the back of my hand. Make no mistake, I have been here a good many times before. Not only that, but I've met people in Inazuma whose families used to live in Tatarasuna years ago. They said it's all true, the history here.
Go on, I'm listening.
Oh, well, it's a long story, don't you know? The tale of Tatarasuna starts a long time ago. I'm told that its history as one of the most foremost forging and smelting operations in the nation goes back around 1,000 years. Still, the furnace has had a couple of serious maintenance issues along the way.
A couple? When exactly?
One was just in the last few years, the other was several hundred years ago. A fun fact, I'm not the first Fontaine tech guy to come and work on it either. There was a guy back then too.
I think we helped him with working on it before.
They say he was a mechanic who consulted on a technology upgrade. It seems like the technological collaboration between our two nations goes back a long way. How about that?
Mechanic, huh? Looks like the doctor still sabotaged the furnace, leading to all the ensuing chaos.
Hey, weren't you gonna ask Xavier something about Tatarasuna? Come on, ask already.
I am.
Oh, I didn't realize you two were here for a history lesson.
Me neither. Paimon doesn't know what's gotten into this one today. Feels like we've been preparing for a history exam or something.
What brought this on? Did you just wake up today with a sudden burning desire for historical knowledge?
Pretty much. So, can I ask one more question?
Sure, go ahead.
Have you ever heard of a kabuki mono connected to Tatarasuna?
A kabuki mono? No, I can't say that I have. I do know the word, Inazuman for those eccentric types who always go around dressed to the nines. Just the sort of person that I'd like to meet, actually. But sadly, I've never had the pleasure, nor have I come across anything to do with a kabuki mono where Tatarasuna is concerned.
So, there's no more kabuki mono. Did the balladeer really manage to erase himself from history completely? If so, he must have wanted to change the world and revert everything back to the way it was. But so far, it looks like the majority of changes have only affected himself. Okay, thank you, Xavier.
Of course!
Xavier.
Don't mention it.
Oh, we're leaving? Okay, bye, Xavier.
Oh, you're most welcome. More than happy to help. Farewell.
Okay, so yeah, I wonder who we're visiting next.
Looks like you got all the information you're looking for.
Time to go back and see Lesser Lord Kusanali.
Sure, but what's up with you today? Whatever it is, it seems like it's really troubling you.
I was under the impression he already explained that something was going on, like, what specifically was going on, but...
Keep your smile, Spinal Crocodile. No matter what happens, Paimon will always be there for you.
Alright, thank you, Paimon.
Hey, don't mention it. Alright, let's head off and go meet Nahida.
Hey, it's them!
Ah, it's these two. The people who made me read a bunch before.
Akaba, Sawada, you're still here?
Are you still talking about the essay?
Indeed we are. If you have a moment, we'd love for you to join us once more.
Not if you're gonna make me read again.
We have time. What do you want to talk to us about?
It's the same topic we discussed last time. Obviously.
Oh, there are gonna be differences.
Still looking for more info about Tatarasuna, huh? Should we join them?
Perfect. These two researched Tatarasuna's past. Let's hear what they have to say.
Unfortunately, we haven't made any real progress.
The article that you let me read last time was great. Can't I read it again? Oh, man.
Huh? Oh, of course.
How big is it this time? Oh my goodness, it's fairly big, isn't it? A brief analysis of possible events of historical importance in the Tatarasuna area. Details. This text belongs to a series of works sponsored by the Vahumana's Veil Cutter Project. It has yet to be numbered. The authors, Akaba. Abstract. The Tatarasuna area has always been a major pillar of Inazuma's smithing industry. 2 incidents have occurred here, and the details behind the first are vague at best. I believe, however, that there might be a hidden history behind the events that transpired. Hence, this paper will attempt to analyze what may have unfolded from the available data. Glossary, Tatarasuna area. Raiden Gokuden Mikoshi Nagamasa. Introduction. This paper continues and expands the work of my mentor, Mr. Rumi, in his report on Happily Hidden Tales of Tatarasuna, and is intended to further this avenue of research. According to the data, the blade forging techniques of Inazuma were originally handed down from the Electro Archon, also known as the Raiden Shogun. Using the arts they inherited from their Archon, the people of Inazuma devoted themselves to the process of forging. However, strange rumors that do not quite fit the steely nature of metalwork yet linger about Tatarasuna's smelting center, which was a central pillar of the forging industry. There, the Mikoshi and Niwa clans, along with an eccentric mechanic from abroad, serve as the three windows of insight we need to investigate the truth about behind what happened. There we go. Body. Strange notes from the Tatarasuna area. Their contents are as follows. 1. Perhaps I overstep, but I think that certain Nagamasa's mood grows better when he forges blades. The obsession to cleanse the stain of the name Mikoshi must eat at him. 2. The inspector brought a certain number of jade steel ingots. Sir Katsuragi discussed matters of smithing deep into the night with the vice armory officer. 3. We at last made a single nagamaki. We call it the Daitatara Nagamasa. The inspector was in high spirits, and he and the vice armory officer, Nozomu, was so taken by the beauty of the Daitatara Nagamasa that he drew a picture of it. 4. The inspector flew into a rage and slashed Katsuragi. The great blade cut deep into the flesh, cast his own Nagamaki into the furnace's flames. Nozomu could not abide by that order, and drew the completely melted weapon out of the furnace. He was burned horribly. 5. Nozomu died that night. I dare say that while Sir Katsuragi may have committed malfeasance, it was out of the goodness of his heart. 6. Kinjiro hid the Nagamaki in Nozomu's drawing in the arsenal. Nagamasa is harsh, but also known right from wrong. But even so, he is not amenable to reason. His name indicates one obsessed with purity. Still, I and some households of Tatarasuna have not been blinded by the matter of Nagamasa's mother Chiyo, and we trust him. I also remain unwilling to forget the joy of creating the Daitatara Nagamasa with him. That name is hard to say. Before we withdrew, we should have divided the arsenal key into 3 parts. 1 for the inspector, 1 for the armory officer, and 1 to be left in Tatarasuna itself to prevent theft. But we were in too much of a hurry, and neither the inspector nor the armory officer could be found. So I was so bold as to hide the 3 pieces within the treasure chest in Tatarasuna. The 7 notes mentioned prior have been scattered across the Tatarasuna area. Among the 7 notes, 6 seem to be of good physical integrity, though they all look quite old, while the last one looks more recent. I believe that the first 6 notes and the last are of different time periods, though the gulf in years between them needs to be verified. The contents of the first 6 should also be related to each other, as the incidents mentioned are quite consistent with one another. Rumi once mentioned in Happily Hidden Tales of Tatarasuna, hereafter known as Hidden Tales, that in the past, researchers from Sumeru had investigated the cultural histories of Tatarasuna and Inazuma. Though the place has fallen into some degree of disrepair since the Hidden Tales were written, things have improved since the time when I wrote my original article. Regardless, what used to be an area of major industry remains a place most inhospitable, and residents of Tatarasuna may be found living and dwelling by the waters. The residents, when questioned, told the researchers of Tatarasuna's golden age centuries ago, when it was administered by the armory officer Niwa, vice armory officer Miyazaki, and inspector Mikoshi Nagamasa. Yet the elders among the locals with deeper ties to the region also seemed to stress the fact that there was a strange rumor surrounding their homeland's past. A great many of these rumors revolved around the yokai, who are so very characteristic of Inazuma's folk histories. I wonder if the yellow is supposed to signify what's new. Anyways, a small portion, however, repeatedly mentions the word outsider. It should be known that the appearance of such a character, who is suspected to be based on a real person, is a very curious case. This fact drew the attention of the researchers to delve further, and eventually the following pieces of information came to light. A foreign mechanic once visited Tatarasuna. Reportedly, the reason for his immigration was to exchange knowledge and forge ties with the locals. However, the mechanic seemed to behave suspiciously, often wandering around essential or restricted areas, and if someone tried to turn him away, they would only earn incomprehensible mumbles from his lips. The mechanic often stared into the furnace, seemingly to check on its condition. Unsettlingly, he also spent a substantial amount of time watching the local residents. Judging from the era, it was not uncommon to see cross-cultural exchanges of technical knowledge in places such as Tatarasuna. After traveling across the tides, foreign experts being welcome in the region was likely not unreasonable either. Yet calamity came not long after this exchange of knowledge, which hints at high potential for causation between these events. However, some current residents believe that these assumptions were merely the result of their forebears' overactive imaginations attempting to theorize how things actually unfolded. A list of individuals related to Tatarasuna has been compiled here based on historical documents from Inazuma. Starting from the administrators, the records are as follows. Armory Officer Niwa, full name Niwa Hisahide. He was the inheritor of the Ishin art and the successor to the Niwa clan. His family, along with the Akame and Kaitahara clans, were together known as the Ishin Sansaku. Records show that Niwa was a modest and intelligent individual who displayed remarkable talent in the administration of territory and people. His eventual whereabouts are unknown, but he was suspected to have left Tatarasuna with his family following the incident. Vice Armory Officer Miyazaki, full name Miyazaki Kaneo. He was Niwa's second in command. His origins are unknown, and he primarily assisted Niwa in forging and personnel management. He was of affable temperament and had many friends in the region, including one Mikoshi Nagamasa. Inspector Mikoshi Nagamasa. The successor of the Mikoshi clan, adopted son to Oni warrior Mikoshi Chiyo, and the younger adopted brother to Mikoshi Michihiro, also known as Iwakura the Successor. With his mother missing and abandoned by his brother, Nagamasa alone bore the family name, striving daily to wipe the shame from their history. Though records state that Mikoshi Nagamasa was a stubborn figure, he was also noted to be a person of moral virtue and integrity. It has been noted in various records that he practiced forging swords for self-cultivation, and especially requested special instructions from Miyazaki to further his capabilities. However, after the famous blade Daitatara Nagamasa was forged, he used it to slay his subordinate, Katsuragi, for reasons unknown at present. Subordinate, Katsuragi. Katsuragi's full name and background remain unknown. Despite all the materials I have sorted through, I have yet to find any more additional personal information regarding him. As one of Mikoshi Nagamasa's subordinates, he was a loyal warrior who had been saved by Nagamasa in his youth. From then on, he swore to stick by his lord through thick and thin, and to give his life in service if it was but asked of him. The mechanic. Long have I delved through many texts and documents, but I was ultimately unable to decipher even a specter of a clue as to his background. Still, mentions of the mechanic grew scarcer in the aftermath of the Tatarasuna incident. I speculate that instead of the mechanic possibly being a figure woven from overripe imaginations, he actually did exist, and perhaps even had a hand in the events that took place in Tatarasuna. It seems that the rest of this paper remains unfinished. One thing is for sure, though, a lot of thought was put into it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the yellow is definitely supposed to be the new text that was added.
I presume you'll want to read mine as well. Here.
Oh no. Well, I guess I'll read through the whole thing again. The Isle of Darkling Clouds. Author Sawada. Extract 1. A man arrived into Tarsuna around 3 in the afternoon. From afar, he spied laborers walking along the mountain roads towards the factories, their shoes scuffling along the jutting stones. They walked like people convinced that so long as they reached the fire raging in the mountain's belly, they might extract from it gems beyond price. The mood that the sight inspired was ineffable, beyond mere description for those not present to witness it. The man barked a cheerful greeting and sprinted to join the procession. There, a towering character who stood half a head taller greeted him with a heavy slap on his back, and yet his words were filled with respect. Do my eyes deceive me, Sir Miyazaki? I cannot think that the return trip here from Inazuma City could have been easy on you. Miyazaki smiled like a young man taking the first steps on their journey. Expression relaxed. Why, Katsuragi, Inazuma is the realm of the almighty Shogun. I sailed upon the fastest ships, strode upon the swiftest sea routes. What dangers could I have possibly faced? And what about the good news? There was some, naturally. The two burst into uproarious laughter, roughhousing with the other workers until the path's end. A young man dressed in linen shirt and wearing a headscarf gazed into the dancing flames of the furnace before him. Now, the flames of a forge are unlike any other, for their intensity affects the resulting integrity of both metal and blade. So too, then, was the flame watcher an unusual individual. At his fingertips sat a lizard, and on his face he wore a smile. The workshop was huge, and the furnace was deeper within. A reasonable person might think that there should be many workings alongside the watcher, yet he stood alone. Only when Katsuragi and Miyazaki strode into the room did the watcher turn. This watcher was Niwa, armory officer and administrator to Tarsuna. Born to the Niwa clan, which served as one of the 3 pillars of the Ishin art, Niwa never argued with his sibling, and was a worthy successor by all accounts. The post he received as a result of his high standing with those in power served as a statement unto itself. Miyazaki handed a well-bundled text to Niwa as he adjusted his expression and said, "It is as you have said, sir. The elders of your clan in the city do not think highly of our plan. Yet I still believe it to be worth a try. As such, I have found the proper vendors and procured the materials that you requested." Niwa studied the text and nodded. "We should try some of these new forging techniques, whether Kaidahara says yea or nay." Katsuragi frowned, and with a sigh said, "Forging is a precise and difficult undertaking. You know this better than most, sirs, and still you seek improvement each day with terrifying drive. Ah, should my Lord Nagamasa hear this, the sourness in his face shall be hard to miss." Niwa smiled, replying, "And how goes the forging of your lord's great blade, Katsuragi?" Katsuragi neither wanted to shame his master nor lie to his 2 friends, and yet he could not think of any way to deflect, and so groused, "I see your ears are as keen as your hands, Sir Niwa. The jokes of us unlearned men are as nothing before you." Miyazaki hid his grin. Upon hearing this, Niwa released the lizard from his hand into Katsuragi's palm. But just as more words were to be exchanged, someone came walking nearby, their footsteps steady and confident. The head that appeared by the door was that of one from abroad. The newcomer placed some lunch boxes to one side, nodded, and made to leave. Katsuragi called out after him, "Sir, what about your meal? Are you not hungry?" The man smiled upon hearing Katsuragi's words. "I already ate. I hope that you, my lords, may also find time to sate your hunger soon." "You are our guest, sir. To see that you help in these trifling matters fills me with embarrassment," Niwa said with sincerity. The man smiled, as if it was no matter. Then, with a nod, he departed. I believe that was the balladeer. I'm assuming that he transferred his consciousness into his body or whatever from way back then, but I could be wrong. Extract 2. The stranger, a foreign mechanic, stood next to the coast. Sunset fell to the accompaniment of darkness. The bands of twilight showed themselves not, for in their place did thunderclouds roil, grumbling the omens of a coming rainstorm. Darkness filled the flesh of the sea, and the dusk bade the clouds to kneel upon the land. But the man stood uncowed, merely gazing into the distance, radiating bloodthirst. None passed him by, and none knew what he was plotting. Time passed, unmeasured and uncounted, till a black cloud suddenly tore free from the sky and began to circle the mechanic, bearing down upon him like an omen. He then caressed the dark mist, as if it was part of his flesh. Outbound, a fishing boat drew near, the lights of its bow flickering in and out of sight beneath falling sheets of rain. A mist unspooled across the area, stealing sight from the fisherman. Repeatedly he exclaimed, "It is but dusk. How are my eyes darkened? Is there anyone that can deliver my boat upon safe tides?" Like a falling spear, the black cloud reached the bottom of the boat, and was joined in its bereftness of direction. Like a charging beast, they plunged into the shoreline. Scant steps away, the mechanic laughed, slowly approaching the grand wreck. Not but half an arm was left of the one who had cried out for help, and with a plop, it landed at the mechanic's feet, who crouched to better study the subject, straining against the urge to take a bite. Yet he did not, for the dark cloud swirling down had already picked the remnants of the ship clean. So the mechanic is the doctor. Why would he want to take it? Why would he have an urge to take a bite? Extract 3. Katsuragi rushed to the doorway and shouted, "My lord, things go ill at the furnace. I have searched for Sir Niwa, but there is no trace of him, and much time has passed since Miyazaki left to seek aid. But he has yet to send us any missive. Look." Mikoshi Nagamasa turned slowly, his face grave as one attending a funeral. He spoke then, but his words heavy-laden. "I wished not to say such words, Katsuragi, but Sir Miyazaki may never return." Katsuragi peered past Nagamasa's broad, stiff shoulders, beyond the windows. The clouds above boiled in waves of black, as if the darkness now was the only weather. It might even morph into an abyssal beast and devour Tatarasuna whole. Over 10 people have already perished. That was why... Katsuragi recoiled as if struck. Yes, it was coming back to him now, in dribs and drabs. That was why they had to set out to seek aid. Miyazaki had been the first to set sail. The clouds had only just begun to form then. Traveling from Tatarasuna to Inazuma to ask for support was normally no great feat, and yet there had been no sign of his return. Then a second ship was sent, followed by a third, and a fourth. Each who left to seek salvation did so under the foul skies and bleak fortunes. Reason dictated that they should not have risked anyone else, but the situation at Tatarasuna was severe. They needed to gain aid from Inazuma, even should it cost them more lives. Niwa was gone, and none could find him. Afterward, Nagamasa led a search party into the mountains and the area around the furnace, all to no avail. Folks began to wonder if Niwa might have encountered an accident, but a worry soon turned to suspicion, and they wondered if he had fled, unwilling to bear the sin of having caused these incidents. The people grew ever more suspicious, and Nagamasa himself strained against the discontent and fury. His face had grown to resemble the rumbling clouds above. Suddenly, a figure flashed by. Their presence did not go unnoticed by Nagamasa. He drew his blade and cut, but in a flash, the evil spirit had shifted behind him, laughing darkly. "Are you seeking someone, my lord? Niwa, perhaps?" Nagamasa bellowed in fury. "You dare address Sir Niwa directly?" Yet the figure parted like mist before his falling blade, only to rematerialize beyond reach, but not beyond sight. A ghastly apparition indeed. "Was it you who slew my people?" Nagamasa howled and charged, held back only by Katsuragi's desperate grip. As his senses returned to him, he realized he was but an inch away from falling into the furnace. It seems that the rest of this work remains unfinished. From the existing text, however, it is apparent that this is a novel of fantastical, colorful sensibilities, born from an imagination well utilized. If there's a third text I've got to read, I'm going to be upset. The content has changed. Another effective tampering with the information in Irminsul. The balladeer said he'd erased 2 of his names. If he really succeeded, It must have taken all of his might. But still.
Well, what do you think?
A masterpiece.
Hey, Traveler. Remember how last time Akaba was saying how he wished he could gather more information about all this? Well, we just got back from Inazuma. So how about we tell them what we learned?
Sure.
What did you find out? Something big?
It's a long story. Basically, we have some friends in Inazuma, and...
You tell the two writers what you learned about the Raiden Gokuden and Tatarsuna's history.
So many new details. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Well, well. So it all comes down to one man's desire for revenge. Huh. You heard this from a member of the Armanoma clan, you say? Then I guess it must be true. Ugh. So there's no ghost story here after all.
This new information actually lends further credence to my hypothesis. Evidently, swordsmiths were seen as having an incredibly prestigious role in society those days, to the extent that harming them was conceived of, at least by the perpetrator, as a way of exacting revenge against those in power.
Yes, okay, point taken, you were right. But that doesn't mean I can't carry on with my novel.
And they're back at it. These guys are really into this.
We've got some things to take care of. Bye for now.
Oh, so sorry. Look at us, prattling on about our projects and ignoring you. Thank you so much for the information.
You're welcome. See ya.
Keep us in the loop if you find out anything else.
Will do.
Okay then. Crazy. Let's go ahead and talk to these two again.
Right! I can finally move forward with my novel. But what a sad story.
I don't know what I was expecting, but I never would have guessed this.
That's all they have to say. So now they want us to go into the sanctuary of Surasthana to talk to Nahida.
Nahida, we're here! Traveler, Paimon, how have you been? Ugh, where to start? Paimon hasn't had a moment's rest this whole time. That night, we ended up chatting and chatting until suddenly the sun was up. And then he decided he wanted to go to Inazuma.
I was investigating the situation with the Balladeer.
The Balladeer? It sounds like some kind of code name.
Oh no.
You look troubled. Is there something you need to tell me?
Hopefully he does tell her. Even Nahida doesn't remember, just like last time. Any changes to Irminsul affect her as well. The Balladeer acted quickly. He finished erasing himself before Nahida could stop him. I'm the only one who still remembers the things that were erased. Once again, I am the record keeper.
Traveler? Hey, what's wrong? You look so upset.
There are things that have happened that only I can remember. I have to tell you the truth. Thank you, Aether. With a heavy heart, you piece back together the story that was broken and scattered across time. There once was one named the Balladeer, created by the Electro Archon. He was a puppet who lived among men. After a series of events in Tatarasuna, the Balladeer, thinking that he had been thrice betrayed, left Inazuma to roam the world beyond. With no trust for humans, and only loathing for the gods, he bore his grudge for years as he grew in strength, then returned to Inazuma to take his revenge. He tried in vain to become a deity with a gnosis, and ended up losing everything. Finally, he entered Irminsul, and learned the truth behind his betrayal. Knowing now that his entire life was built on lies, he did the unthinkable in an attempt to reverse his tragic fate.
That's quite a story. So, this puppet known as the Balladeer erased himself from Irminsul, hoping that he could change the past. But how was he even able to do that? As the Traveler said, he very nearly became Sumeru's deity. Admittedly, I remember it a little differently. I don't recall finding anyone inside the machine after we defeated it.
Oh, really?
Nevertheless, it does make sense. If someone were to successfully erase themselves from Irminsul, the world would change to reflect the new reality. So, you believe this person really existed, and we just don't remember him because... well, because he literally
Yes. Theoretically speaking, it is possible to do this. But I'm struggling to imagine the kind of person who would dare go through with it. The Traveler comes from a world beyond Tevat. That's why there's no information about him in Irminsul, and it also explains why any changes to Irminsul wouldn't affect him. So if there's anyone in the world capable of retaining memories from a past that has been rewritten, it's you. It's quite incredible when you think about it.
You can say that again.
Paimon's having a hard time understanding this Balladeer guy's motivations. Why did he do it?
I can only make inferences based on the information we've been given. As for what kind of person he was, only you remember that.
I'm not really sure. We were enemies, after all. I don't know his perspective on all this, so I can't say why he did something so extreme. Did he want to reset everything, or save someone? Or did he want to completely undo his existence? Everything can be set right. It is time to solve this once and for all. Maybe that's all there is to it? I still remember the question he asked. He asked me specifically, and my hesitation gave him his answer. I hesitated because I witnessed Greater Lord Rukkhadevata erase her own existence. But I can't tell Nahida that. To put it another way, I know why the Balladeer was so sure it could work, but I can't tell them that.
Something else worrying you? Something that you can't share?
I just feel empty. He chose such a radical option, and yet...
It couldn't change the fate of the ones who had died, right?
Yes.
Once the Balladeer realized he hadn't been betrayed after all, it must have completely changed his view of the people of Tatarasuna. Now he saw them as friends again. He couldn't keep hating humans after that. And if he thought there was a chance he could save his old friends, it would be hard not to try. The story makes sense. Every part of it. The Balladeer tried to achieve godhood with the Doctor's help. He was unsuccessful, but retained the power to connect with Irminsul. That power then enabled him to change what was recorded in Irminsul and erase himself, even though he didn't have much strength left.
Yeah, it does make sense, but it still ended in tragedy for his friends. It just feels so hopeless. He gave everything to do this, but it seems like he got nothing in return.
Yeah, he changed the world in many ways, and yet the dead still didn't get a second chance. Those fated to a tragic end could not be saved. What exactly did he want to fight back against? The betrayals in his life? Or did he wish he'd never existed at all?
Please wait a moment. I want to check something.
Is she gonna check Irminsul?
Found it. This should be the one.
Oh, what's that?
It turns out that I have a strange way of confirming everything he has told us.
Oh, really?
What is it?
A record from a personal collection. It was tucked away in a corner. You should take a look.
Okay. Surprisingly, the information is presented to you in a way that resembles a fairy tale.
Is this a fairy tale? Who wrote it?
This matches everything I said.
I authored this record myself.
Huh.
You wrote a fairy tale that somehow has something to do with the Balladeer?
When combined with the Traveler's narrative, it's clear that this story is an allegory. Everything in it is a symbol for something else.
Hold on. So this record survived from the past?
That's confusing, but okay.
Yes. Any information about the Balladeer or the Kabuki Mono and other records will have been changed. But I wrote this story in a way that means it was left intact.
Could she have done the same with Greater Lord Rukkhadevata then?
Changing the information in Irminsul changes to that. But Irminsul can't change information that was well hidden in advance. I guess I must have written this story as a backup before the Balladeer entered Irminsul.
Okay, then maybe she wouldn't have had a reason to do that with Greater Lord Rukkhadevata.
That's incredible! What a great idea!
And sending the traveler into Irminsul with the balladeer must have been a further precaution. I knew he'd remember everything. This story is abstract enough that it still resonates with the present information recorded in Irminsul. But if we connect all the different pieces together, the true story that emerges is the one he told us. The now erased life of the balladeer.
Okay then.
There was once a lone monster draped in fox fur. The monster found a family of foxes, joined them, and they became friends. The monster lived with the family day and night, and everyone treated it as one of their own. Once in a while, the monster would take off its fox fur at night and lament to itself as it gazed at its reflection in the water. I am a monstrosity, yet they are too foolish to see it. I pity them. But the monster soon found solace when another came to live among the foxes who was not their kin. A kitten, carved from the wood of a white tree who had been abandoned by the humans. The kitten too wished to become a fox, but its tail was too slender and it could not grow a coat of richly colored fur. Yet when the other foxes saw this, they spoke words of comfort to the kitten. Even without a tail and fur like ours, you are still one of us. Furious at this happy resolution, the monster lit a fire on the mountain. The terrified animals panicked as the fire spread. The only way to extinguish the flames was to make a sacrifice. A gray fox stood up and addressed the monster. It said, "You are the cleverest among us. Surely you can help us find a way to solve this." The monster smiled, led the fox toward the fire, and murdered it. The gray fox's heart was turned into a beautiful drop of water, clear, spotless, and pure. The monster gave the heart of water to the kitten, telling him, "The foxes have decided. You are the one who must be sacrificed. Take this, quench the flames, and die for your fox kin."
So the monster was the doctor and the kitten was the balladeer.
The fire was extinguished, but the kitten lived. It left that side of the mountain and found a little bird who had a broken wing.
Oh?
The two promised they would spend their whole lives together, but the little bird did not have long left to live. It passed away soon after. After burying the bird, the kitten left the mountain for good. Never again would it cherish a single creature, nor a single blade of grass that stood on that mountain. The kitten spent the nights wandering aimlessly, gnashing its teeth at the moon. How it wished to swallow the moon and devour the moonlight. If the world could only return to darkness, then it would finally be peaceful and content. I will become the new moon, the answer to everything. Then, no one will know that there were once birds, foxes, and cats in this world. And no one can know that they were different.
We solved it!
I remember now. This is not just the balladeer story. It is his very own memories. I made a backup so that it would be preserved no matter what happened. To become a god, he was experimented on and modified countless times. It was brutal torture, and the only reason he was able to survive is that he was a puppet. This memory was extracted from him by the scholars. Presumably, they kept it to have something to defend themselves with. Creating a deity was just the first step. Some of them wanted to be able to control it. That's why they backed up his memory for later use. I buried it deep inside one of my own dreams, and then hid it inside an allegorical story so that it wouldn't be altered.
It's hard to believe that this person really existed, let alone that he tried to get rid of us on more than one occasion. Paimon has no memory of him at all. He completely vanished like a puff of smoke.
The balladeer agreed to help me look for information about the Descenders, and although he was unsuccessful, he still helped you. Before he vanished, he confirmed an important detail. That Conria was where your twin first came into this world. We still don't know how the change to Irminsul will affect the senior ranks of the Fatui, but in all likelihood, they won't even remember their own Harbinger.
I've never had this feeling before. It feels like life is as insignificant as a feather.
It sounds like Paimon wouldn't like this guy a whole lot if he was still around. But still, Paimon doesn't like the way it all ended that much better.
This is why wisdom alone cannot answer all our questions. We look, we see, and we comprehend, but the question still troubles us. So the answer is not everything. People yearn to find the truth and then conquer the troubles they face. When you give someone the truth, you give them a chance to choose their own destiny. To others looking on, this may seem like a pointless endeavor, but for him, the chance to act on his desire to disappear must have meant a lot. Never forget that even when we walk beneath dark clouds along a road filled with suffering, the light of wisdom is always there, guiding us toward a better destination. And that is what you have been doing all along.
Yeah, Nahida's right. Cheer up. How about we go get something to eat? We can pick up this heavy conversation again later.
Good idea. Paimon, why don't you take him out for a walk to clear his head?
You got it. Come on, traveler. You need to get out of your head for a while. You'll feel much better after taking a walk.
Okay then, sure.
Let's go get a snack from one of the stalls in the Grand Bazaar. That'll be sure to lift our spirits. It must be really tough being the only one who remembers all that. But Paimon's always here to help cheer you up.
Let's talk to Nahida.
There's a few things I'd like to look into. You should go take a walk and try to unwind.
Okay, I think I'll do that in the next video though, unless it doesn't allow me to teleport out of here. Actually, you know what? I think I'll go over there after all, to where that quest marker is. See one more cutscene before I stop.
We're here! What should we eat first?
I have a nagging feeling, like there's something I'm missing. Something important that I'm forgetting.
Hey, are you gonna answer or what?
Sorry, it's just... give me a minute. I'm still processing.
Alright, whatever you want. Well, Paimon will be right here when you figured stuff out. Then we can get something to eat.
Come on, brain, let's dig this out. It's gotta be in there somewhere. It was something about Irminsul, and deleting oneself. Greater Lord Rigadavada, Forbidden Knowledge, Nahida...
What is it? Have you figured it all out?
Huh? Yes, that was it. Greater Lord Rigadavada. She said that no one can erase themselves from existence, not even her. Otherwise, why would she need to create her own reincarnation in Lesser Lord Kusanali to do the deletion for her? There'd be no point.
Why'd you jump up all of a sudden?
No, I can't tell Paimon. She doesn't know about Greater Lord Rigadavada. But this is a crucially important detail. It's simply not possible for the balladeer to completely erase his own existence. In which case, the question is, what happened to him?
Excuse me, boss. There seems to be a small problem with the last bill. Look, here.
Well, gee, what a coincidence. There he is. Is his hat different? Or his clothes in general might be different. Anyways,
Hey, wait!
You mean me?
No, not you. That kid. Didn't you see? Little rascal grabbed my last 2 fresh Sunsetias and ran off.
Oh, really?
Look, if you're gonna help out here, you can't keep spacing out, okay? What is it? Work's too boring for you? Or has the big city got too many distractions?
I wasn't paying close enough attention. Sorry, boss. I think you're right. Maybe it's the city. It's so exciting. It can be hard to focus.
Who's that guy? You know him or something?
That guy is the balladeer.
He's who?
You're a strange one, kiddo. You say you don't want any money for helping out here, and then when I actually give you some work to do, you keep letting yourself get distracted. I don't want to take advantage, so I'm happy to pay you what I'd pay anyone else. But if you keep acting like this, pretty soon I won't be able to afford to.
No, please. I mean it. You don't need to pay me anything. I'm just so thankful you agreed to take on an outsider like me.
So he's no longer crazy.
You're welcome, I guess. But I got bigger things to worry about. Look, we're all out of Sunsetias, and I promised the lady down the street I'd deliver a fruit bowl this evening.
Leave it to me. I'll find some more. Just a moment. I'll be right back.
Stop. I'm gonna level with you, kiddo. I've never met a worker who said they didn't want a wage before. And at first, I got greedy. Couldn't believe my luck. But I figured you'd start asking for something in return eventually. You don't want money. You don't take days off. And in your free time, all I see you do is wander around, taking in the sights. Are you a drifter or something?
That's right, I am.
Wanderer.
We can talk more about that later. First, let me get those fruits you needed. Sunsetias, was it? I'll be right back.
Hey, what do we do now?
Let's follow him.
Okay, stay out of sight. Don't let him see you.
Oh, wait. Are we going to actually have to follow him? Okay, no, we don't have to. So yeah, this is where I'm going to be stopping. Thanks for watching. Next time I play, I'll be continuing the Archon quest. Bye-bye.